Hi, it's Jason Heath, and we are bringing you a special episode today about the Young Bassists program at the 2021 International Society of Bassists Convention that is going to be online. And we have Tracy Rowell, Wesley Thompson, Ira Gold, and Adam Booker talking about this event and what's going to be offered. Also, we have joining us Gabriel Gaw, who is currently a Cleveland Institute of Music undergrad, but he was a participant in the 2017 and 2019 Young Bassist program. So let's start off this special episode with Tracy Rowell and then Wes Thompson describing this event. And you can visit isbworldoffice.com for more information. We also have a link to this in the show notes for this episode.
Just wanted to let everybody know a little bit about this year's ISB Young Bassists program, which is going to be virtual. And we have here several members of the team. Wesley Thompson and I and Adam are kind of co-directing the program. Ira is presenting. There's going to be there will be all kinds of elective courses, but some of them will be targeted for a specific purpose. So Ira is going to be running an orchestral program that's kind of running concurrently with this. And then Adam is in charge of a jazz curriculum. So that's kind of where we are with things.
Okay, so yeah, we are very excited to be hosting the Young Bassist program of the ISB convention this year virtually. And the team and I think that the virtual platform actually offers lots of awesome opportunities. Even though, of course, we wish we could be in person with everyone, there's a lot of unique ways we can use the fact that we are virtual to experience things in a new and unique way. So the first thing is we're hoping that the way we're scheduling our classes can really cater to people from many different time zones. We're planning to have multiple blocks of time during the day so that students from around the world, even if they have school during the day, they'll be able to chime in and take part in a class or a performance or one of our many different tracks that we're offering this year. So we're hoping that maybe even more than normal, students from many different parts of the world can tune in to part of our convention. The basics of the curriculum, we're going to have some group warm-ups, some big group classes with students of all ages and disciplines and backgrounds. But then there will, of course, be some more specific classes as well, some electives that students can choose on more specific topics provided by presenters from the actual ISB convention as well. There will be some master classes with the potential of live performance or pre-recorded, if that works better. We'll have some performance opportunities, such as some recitals. And we're also going to be doing a virtual performance, which most of that will take place before the actual week. But we will actually end our convention week with a debut of some virtual videos. And we're hoping to have some small chamber groups coached by some world-class bass players, as well as one big bass orchestra video that everyone can take part in. And while this we think is an awesome opportunity, it's going to be optional. So you can choose whether or not that is something that you have time for in the months preceding the convention itself.
Oh, that was awesome. That was a really great description. And right now, Andres Martin is working on writing a piece for the large bass ensemble, so for the bass orchestra. And so it'll be exciting to see what he comes up with.
Yeah, actually, I'll add the students who participate in both the chamber program and the bass orchestra will actually have the opportunity to work with their coaches and meet with them and have some either group or one-on-one coaching sessions prior to the convention. So they'll get some FaceTime with our world-class coaches as well.
Yeah, so we're really hoping that of course we would rather be in person, as Wes said, but we're really hoping that this might be a cool way to enable more people internationally to participate, because You don't have to travel to get there, and might be pretty. We're trying to really accommodate that with our schedule and different time blocks to make it possible for someone from Europe or someone from the West Coast in the US. We would love to have more international participation in this.
And I think now could be a good time to mention that we accept students of every age up to 18. And as long as you have some experience, we will find a curriculum track for you. We want to really make people feel like this is open to any bass player.
Right. And Jason, I mentioned Gabriel. Gabriel was a student in our Young Bassist program at IU in 2019. And so that's why I invited him to come. And I was hoping that maybe he might feel comfortable talking about his experience at the ISB. And Gabe, you did the YB program, but you also were participated in the competition as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that, maybe?
Yeah. So I was in the YB program 2019 and 2017 at Ithaca. It was a really beneficial thing to go to at the ISB convention, because I mean, obviously I can go to a master class for Paulos and at the actual convention and watch other people play, but being able to actually play for him and in front of other people is really beneficial. So I actually get to kind of have a lesson and also learn how he teaches and have that experience with him at the time. And it just has a lot of great classes. For example, I believe I went to a class about the transition from being a senior in high school to a freshman in college. And that really now that I'm at CIM as a freshman, it really has been helpful now. The competition, it was also really inspiring and obviously humbling to be there. I got to see a lot of international 15, 18-year-olds compete, and it gave me the sense of idea of the level of playing that these 15 to 18-year-olds can be at the time. And of course, I was one of the semifinalists there, and just being able to compete with some of them was a really great experience, and I really enjoyed it. Being in the Young Bassist program, it was really cool to meet other students who were my age, and I'd see at college auditions and all that. And it was really beneficial to be able to talk to them about auditioning and just bass in general at a high level. So that was really good to have.
Next up is Ira Gold describing the orchestral track for the Young Bassist program that he is organizing along with Tracy. And then we'll go into Adam Booker and the jazz track, all new offerings for the Young Bassist program this summer 2021 for the ISB.
Things for the orchestral track, as Tracy was talking about, there are some details that are still being ironed out, but essentially the idea behind it is to give students an opportunity to focus on orchestral repertoire, sort of in a way that they would do maybe later on in their studies, like in college, but to sort of start to get that experience learning standard repertoire that may show up on auditions in a focused way, and having that repertoire be taught by well-known teachers and performers. So we have, I guess I can name a few of the people that we've got lined up. Tracy and I are committed to being involved in this and doing some teaching. In terms of who's going to be teaching what, that hasn't been worked out specifically, but we will come up with pieces or excerpts that we will be teaching, and then there will be sort of an introductory class that's more centered on technique and sort of the foundation or fundamentals that students need to learn in order to play the excerpt. So it may be bow strokes, or maybe certain shifting techniques or certain sound concepts. And so there'll be sort of an introductory class that will be taught sort of as a tangential to the repertoire, and then there'll be a separate class where the class will be taught just on that repertoire. So we have Sue Cahill from the Colorado Symphony, Nina DeCesar from Baltimore Symphony, Brajan Jones from the Oregon Symphony, and Christian Gray from the Washington National Opera. They've all agreed to participate in some capacity. So we'll be sort of figuring out who will be teaching which repertoire once we get that all clarified. But it'll be nice to have sort of this diverse mix of teachers and performers from all over the country, offering their expertise. And, it'll probably be standard repertoire, Beethoven and Mozart, Brahms, Strauss, things like that. Repertoire that commonly gets seen again in college and professional auditions. Tracy, am I missing something? So I think whoever is going to be doing this is definitely going to be committed, and they'll really want to invest the time in it. And there'll be a lot that they'll gain from working on the material, but also making the connections with the teachers themselves, and those relationships. As Gabriel was saying, you meet someone and you work with them when you're young, and sometimes it makes a really strong impression, and maybe you end up studying with that person, or you end up connecting with them at some point later on in your career, and that can be a very powerful step towards wherever that student's going to lead themselves. So we, I don't know if this has been done before. Has this been done before at ISB? And I like this idea of what Wes was talking about, and Tracy too, about the idea that, we could have kids in this program that are from everywhere, whereas normally, it is an international gathering, but a lot of the internationalism, it seems, was more like the performers and the people that were presenting at past conventions, not lots of students getting on airplanes and flying across the globe. So this idea that people could be in any country and get online and be able to participate just from their living room or their bedroom is pretty cool. So who knows who will reach, and that's kind of an exciting aspect of this.
One of the things that we wanted to be very careful about in setting all this up was not really drawing lines between genres. So all of the students are going to be welcome to kind of migrate in and out of certain courses if they so desire, because we're all bass players and we all have something to share with each other. And if you're that 14, 15-year-old bassist that like plays in jazz band at school but also plays in orchestra, you're not sure which direction you want to go in life, and you're not sure if you want to specialize, that's great. We have a deal for you. We have all this stuff available to you. The other thing that I like about that I think is just the most stellar and probably in my opinion, the most important aspect of the whole youth-based program is that we spend so much time as young bass players in a room with like 30 violinists and 20 violists and 1,000 cellists and like 2 bass players, right? So when we get an opportunity as young musicians, as young bass players to be around, even virtually, people that are like us, it's truly an inspiring moment for us. It's, I'm not alone. I get to be a bass player, and these are all my bass player family, and that's exactly what ISB is anyway, as far as I'm concerned. So as far as the jazz program is concerned, it's actually designed a lot like what Ira's doing with the orchestral repertoire program. We're going to have a daily guest. We're still working on that part of it, but rest assured it's going to be the same world-class level of bass player that we're used to at ISB, most likely drawn from performers and presenters or just ISB, our membership. We have so many amazing jazz bass players just in our membership. And we're going to, discuss, a daily tune that we come up with that we're going to kind of work through the programs, work through the curriculum. We're going to talk about how to play that song. We're going to talk about approaches to playing a walking bass line over that, approaches to soloing over that, approaches to changing the rhythm or changing the time signature or changing this, that, and the other. Just different ways to take that tune and mold it around. And then we're going to have, of course, no jazz curriculum would be complete without a little bit of theory talk. No, don't worry, we won't make it too rough for you guys. And we're going to talk about this tune along with the theory and along with the history of the song and what makes this such a standard piece of repertoire for the jazz idiom. And again, we're going to have other concepts like tone production and scales and warm-ups and all that fun stuff too. And another thing that we're also trying to do here is make sure that, like, before we break out into these these specialized curriculum tracks that we're all together with the students, that all the students are together at one place. Relatively so, definitely, well, at one place, air quotes, right? But at the same time, doing their daily warm-up routines and stuff like that, whichever portion of the day that might happen to fall on. It's kind of a weird 3D schedule that we have to look at here in the online world. So, but don't worry, once you guys all see the schedule, it'll all make sense, I promise.
We'll wrap up with a few final thoughts from Wesley Thompson and Tracy Rowell.
The application is live, or will be live by the time this is airing, I hope. So the application is live. All you need to do is go and fill it out. There is some, of course, information about you and contact information, but then there's a section about your playing experience that we hope everyone really takes the time to fill out as accurately as you can, so we can provide the best classes we can for who is coming. And you will get an option to just tell us your interest level for the orchestral or jazz track. That doesn't lock you into one or the other. As Adam said, you can float between, but it'll, again, help us see who is coming and what they are interested in, so we can cater it as best we can to everyone who is going to be tuning in.
Wesley ran Bassworks Maryland last summer, which was virtual, which was new for everyone, I think, on the faculty and all the students. And it was incredibly inspiring. It still had the sense of community that you might get if you're in person. It was amazing. I was really, not that I was worried about it, but I felt like the kids got to know each other, and we got to know the kids in a similar fashion to being in the same room together. It was pretty great.
That's a look inside the Young Bassist program for 2021 for the ISB convention, and that link is now live. It is a link that would be long to say, but easy to click on. So go to the show notes for this episode, or go to isbworldoffice.com, and you can click on convention or Young Bassist or something like that. There, just look at the show notes and you'll be able to see it. It occurred to me as I'm putting this together that I didn't introduce anybody except Gabe. I sort of assume that these are familiar names and faces to you if you've listened to the podcast for any length of time. But Tracy Rowell teaches at the Oberlin Conservatory and the Cleveland Institute of Music. Wesley Thompson runs Bassworks and is a teacher in many other things as well. Ira Gold is in the National Symphony, teaches at the Peabody Conservatory, and Adam Booker teaches at Appalachian State University. And yeah, they've all been past podcast guests except for Gabriel. So welcome, Gabriel. And thank you for listening to this mini-sode, special episode, whatever you want to call it. Check out the Young Bassist crack for the convention. If you know somebody that would be interested, or know a parent of somebody that would be interested, forward this message, this podcast, however you're getting this podcast, to them. Send them to isbworldoffice.com, and let's make this online experience one that can tap into a more international audience than has been possible with these US-based conventions. I am your host, Jason Heath, and we'll see you again soon for more life in the low end of the spectrum.